Hey guys, it's Matt from GameFriends.com, the social network for gamers, and we're discussing the best video games of all time. Okay, right off the bat, we're going to want to pay respects to Pac-Man and Tetris. Although I don't play these games anymore, I still think they deserve the respect on the list. After that, there's a game called River City Ransom. It's an old game for Nintendo. It's a side-scrolling game, very fun. You can pick up weapons, bash NPCs over the head, and keep going on through your journey. Super Mario World. This game was amazing. It actually was even in, I believe, a movie or two with the guy from the Wonder Years. I forget the name of it. It was a big mainstream game. Graphics are timeless. The boards were well thought out. Some people are just insane at it. Beat it in 11 minutes or whatever it was. Warcraft. The series is the real-time strategy series is really epic. I like the first one on the Mac, where you actually had to build roads for buildings. You had demons, the mages summoned scorpions. It was just a really fun game. After that, Battletoads. Battletoads is another side-scrolling game. I believe it was on the Super Nintendo. You could play with a friend or a sibling as well. And there was one board where it was extremely difficult. You were falling in a cave. I think you were hanging onto a rope, and you had to dodge all these things, and the board was damn near impossible. There's also, I believe, like a hovercraft board. So there was a lot of variety for such an older game. Final Fantasy 3, and all the Final Fantasies really. They're a great RPG series. I know a lot of people cite Final Fantasy 3 as their favorite. Personally, I like Luffy and Breath of Fire, but most people will say Final Fantasy. Star Fox. As far as flying games go, I believe Star Fox was my first experience with a flying game that was done well. It was on the Super Nintendo, and you could, dodge things in 3D space, shoot things, travel. The ability to travel north all across all axes is really fun. And there was also another board level in Star Fox similar to Battletoads, where you had to go down this amazingly difficult tunnel or whatever it was, and you always end up clipping a wing and dying on it. Mortal Kombat. Great fighting game. Everybody, finish him. That's all people will talk about. You'd fight somebody, they'd yell that out. It's a huge mainstream game. They made a movie out of it. The movie sucked. Video game is really good though, until you figured out you could just jump kick and kill everyone. But the series lives on today. Resident Evil. This is an amazing horror genre niche video game. I actually liked the movie too. The first one, the second one sucked. Resident Evil, though, when you hear that first zombie coming around, and Jill, I believe her name is screaming. It's just a great experience and a very well done game. Mario Kart. I'm not even big on racing games, but I love Mario Kart. You could play it competitively or play it against a computer, and it was a great game, trying to aim with those green shells. Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal took Mario Kart to a different level. Twisted Metal it was all about the destruction and, dominating your opponent, not necessarily just beating them. You had to kill them. It was a great game. Crash Bandicoot, great platformer, revolutionized the platformer genre. You actually could travel now in a 3D space, so instead of just side-scrolling, you had a vertical space where, one board was a boulder was chasing you, and you were running towards the screen away from the boulder. Ultima Online. This is absolutely my favorite game of all time. Probably because it was my first real MMORPG experience. And my first MMO experience in Ultima Online was I log in, you hear the chickens and whatnot, you go to bank, and some guy's saying, hey, here's a gate to get some free stuff. I go through the gate, what happens? Bam, 4 of his friends are there, they just kill me, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I said, any game, if it's online and it's a video game, there should be grief involved in it, otherwise it's not truly an online game. StarCraft. What a frustratingly great game this is. I played the original as well as the second one who just came out, StarCraft. I'm not that good at it, so basically I'll just try to tech to tier 3, to put things on an even playing field as quick as possible, and just mass carriers and hope my opponent doesn't Zerg rush me. Madden. Madden is by far my favorite sports-related game. The Madden series is amazing. It's really slipped up though in the past. Honestly, the best one has been NFL 2K5. Since then, they've kind of been on a downward slope, and I haven't even got it this year, so that's a bit depressing. NFL 2K2. This is a great game if anybody ever played it. You could dive like 10 yards. You know, it's like a mix between Madden and Blitz. It was not sim, and it's not completely fake. But who wants completely sim in a video game? EverQuest. EverQuest once again revolutionized the MMO market after Ultima Online came out with 3D. So you know you really felt like you were in another world. That's the whole idea of an MMO experience, a world outside your own. And when you're swimming in EverQuest and you're just running around aimlessly, you know, throughout these massive zones, you really feel like you can get lost in the game. Halo. Halo is Xbox flagship first-person shooter. Obviously, it's a huge seller. It's one of the best-selling video games of all time. It has a great single-player campaign that I played, as well as very competitive online play. Next game a lot of people don't know about, it's relatively new, is Money Seas. It's actually a flash game, and the guy has to be a genius because some of these boards are just, you have to play them perfectly to get through. It's a platformer, so you have to sit here and you have to get all these coins and you have to dodge all these obstacles and do all this crazy stuff. It's a great game. Grand Theft Auto. This is basically an MMORPG without being online in a way. You know, you're basically in a city of, you know, what feels like millions of people, but you're there by yourself in a way. So it's a lot of fun. It's like a little sandbox game where you can do whatever you want. You know, essentially you own the city after a while. Once you get enough weapons, you know, you can do whatever the hell you want. Call of Duty. Call of Duty is my favorite first-person shooter game. Both online and offline. I think the offline campaign is very well done. It's extremely short, but the idea of the game is online play. But you know, in past when the people were flying around with the alien glitch, it gets a little corny. Unreal Tournament. This is the cream of the crop as far as, you know, skilled first-person shooters go. These people have amazing twitch reflexes. It's just it's like playing these other first-person shooters on, you know, on speed. Speaking of shooters, Mad Dog McCree. What a gem this is. I played this on 3DO with the gun, the laser gun, and it had live action role playing men and women in it. So you thought you were in the Wild West, the guy needed help, and then you'd start shooting people. It was a great game. And Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid is just a very well done series. You know, you not only do a lot of damage during the game, but you also have to be an assassin ninja type. You have to walk around in the shadows, slaying your enemies, and of course all the technology and backstory just make it a really well done game. Okay, so, oh, and last but not least, I would say Myth is one of my favorite games of all time. It was an extremely difficult game. I actually never beat it. It was a real-time strategy game in a way. But you only had a set amount of units, so it really made micro the focus. So unlike StarCraft and Warcraft today, you could not make units. You started with X amount of units, and the person started with X amount of units, and then you saw who was the best at using those units. Okay, so those are my best video games of all time. I'd like to know if I missed any, and I'd like to know what your favorite games of all time. Okay, again, my name is Matt from GameFriends.com, the social network for gamers, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.